Hello viewers, welcome to India Today. This is Maruthi Acharya.
And I am Sanjay Ponnappa, and today we watched the latest Kannada film, one of the first highly anticipated film of the year from the industry, Landlord. First of all, you tell me what's one liner about your experience in it.
Though there are some moments which I enjoyed, but that doesn't make this a great film, especially considering the kind of potential the story and the subjects had. It ended up being a fairly average film for me.
What I felt is this film picks up well by the interval point. It is, it shows a lot of promise, but later on it becomes a little too typical. Right from the start to the end, it is a very standard rural action drama with a political message. But by the end of it, it turns into a very typical and not so enjoyable rural drama, which kind of we've moved forward from. Now, getting deeper into the review, what I like the most about the film is all the action sequences, the rural drama in the first half, the fun elements, the establishment of the conflict, all of these things. The first half is molded in such a way that even though it is still your standard film that we watched, loved, all our superstars have been in that role, either as the landlord or as somebody who's rebelling against it. Everybody, all the established South Indian stars have done that at some point in their career. It was that particular film where it was fun to watch everything getting established. It was also kind of emotional. It was gritty, nail biting, what is going to happen, and some really good action sequences as well.
For me, the strength of the film is unlike a lot of rural rustic dramas that we have seen, the movie actually has depth in terms of story, in terms of character design. From the start, the movie builds a character. You know what is the character arc that each of them are aiming for. Take Vijaya Kumar's character, take Rachita Ram's character, take Rajbi Shetty's character also, and all the other characters who are contributing. This core story, the message of what is the importance of law, the discrimination between who and who cannot own a land, even if it is a small piece of land, how psychologically it is important, what is the stake, especially the psychological part of it, not a lot of dramas explore. With Rajbi Shetty's character, they did explore. So when you look at the film on whole, the depth in the story, in the material, in the character design is something that I'm really surprised.
The emotional aspect in the film, once again, I'd like to give it a separate shout out as well, because Vijay's daughter Rithnya has made her debut with the film, and there is this one particular scene where the father and daughter, along with Rachita Ram, are having a very intense conversation after a really big setback, a big heartbreak of sorts.
Yeah.
So at that point, honestly, I felt like this has gone beyond acting, and it is a father-daughter speaking there, talking about how a daughter's life has to bloom, it should bloom, and how parents should always be the givers. And that whole emotional scene, the relationship in itself was very endearing to watch.
Emotionally and in terms of adrenaline rush when it comes to action scenes, the movie is pretty solid. For that, the major contribution is the performances, whether it is Vijay Kumar, Rachita Ram especially. There are some moments where she is taking control of the house, of the situation, and the way she is taking things forward. Those scenes stand out in the film, so her performance was also brilliant. Debut actor Rithnya also gave a really strong debut performance. All the other cast and crew also gave a very good performance. And Rajbi Shetty, my god. Before getting into the theater, I had this skepticism whether he will fit into the stereotypical antagonist who's
Antagonist in a
commercial film. So I had that skepticism, to be honest, but he really impressed. There's this one scene where he's standing in front of mirror, and there is this one scene where he's asking about why he doesn't want to be human, he like being god. So these are the two sequences where you see the character really gets beautifully flushed. So I think all the emotional elevations majorly land because of the performances.
Also, the director and the writer of the film, Jadeshaa Hampi, I feel like he did a really good job in bringing the best out of all the characters. The characters in the film were really well written, of Rajbi Shetty's character, and the way he brings the whole superiority complex, god complex that these villainistic characters usually have. He is that typical villain in the village, but why is he the villain, what is going on in his head, was very nicely put forward here. Talking about I want to be this, talking about why he wants to be this, talking about the pride he carries in the all these dialogues in the film, you got this constitution 40 years ago. Our history has been
Yeah.
going on from 1,000 years. All these lines kind of gives, a sense, a logic to the kind of upbringing he has had, for the kind of mentality he is working with. The film on paper, it shows so much promise. It sounds really good. It was just that everything should have been materialized visually.
Music by Ajaneesh, Loknath. There is a proper soundscape for the film which is really refreshing. Cinematography, color grading, production values, overall visually and technically the movie is solid.
Along with that, I'd like to give a personal shout out to the cinematography as well, because it felt really good to see a Kannada film with such brilliant cinematography that isn't, a niche film. In commercial cinema, we very rarely see such different cinematography. With this, you could see that there's a lot of aesthetic value being added.
Now getting to the things that didn't work for me in the film. First things first, the characters that the director has written, the rules, the arc that he's aiming for, all of that is beautiful, and that is the problem because in the second half especially, other than Vijay Kumar's character, every character's character arc is largely abandoned. Because of which the second half especially, though the proceedings are slow, I was really invested. I want to know what is happening, what is next. Because not just character, story wise also, there is a resolution that everybody is trying to. Mild spoilers, there is a scene where Vijay Kumar's daughter character will take a drastic move involving his father, and that is a very bold step in terms of writing also. I was really impressed with that call. But again, these kind of calls are being taken, because of which I was really invested in the drama, though it is slow. But the way he abandons it and makes it a hero-centric film every time was very, very disappointing and slash infuriating, because the story is talking about different things. You've built it up to that, and if you don't trust your characters, your writing.
And the most frustrating part about that is it's not like there isn't any scope for the hero elevation to land. There is a lot of scope there. You don't necessarily have to, pull down all the strong characters you've built just for the sake of the hero to elevate.
Yeah.
Hero is already elevated and he could hit that mark irrespective. But the beauty of the film is that along with the hero, there are these two really strong, female characters. But I feel like the strongly built characters, which was a positive for the film, was kind of taken aback because in the screenplay, their whole strength was just restricted to something and pulled down. It almost felt like the strength shown over there was superficial. I really wanted both those characters also to be strong. Rachita Ram's character and Rithnya.
Though, like I said, technically, story-wise, the movie has its elements, but it is difficult to not see the obvious comparisons with similar films. I could draw comparisons with a Telugu film called Rangasthalam. There are some elements of there are a lot of films, so it follows a familiar pattern. There is a flashback portion about Dunya Vijay, and some portions of it is very similar to a flashback from Asuran. So the treatment wise, when it shouldn't be so obvious, I understand beats can be same, but in terms of presentation, it can't be so similar from other similar raw and rustic dramas, is what I felt.
A disturbing thing in the film, which kind of was taking away from my concentration and engagement with the film, was the bad dubs. There was a lot of points where you can make out that the dialogue being said on the screen is not the same as the dialogue that was used in the dubbing. You could also see that the intonations were different. There's a lot of differences when it comes to audio and visual. So that was, a discomfort of sorts. It was kind of pulling away from the impact of that particular scene, or the whatever was being built. That happened in the first half as well. I don't know. With that, I kind of understood the actual importance of modern technology, where you can record the dialogue while you're acting as well.
Also, might be nitpicking, but another thing that took the whole experience away from the film is the screenplay structure, the way the story flows. So especially with these raw, emotional, drastic dramas, right? It should feel like you are in that world, you are with the characters, you are flowing with the story. But the movie's editing pattern or the way the screenplay was designed was so janky that one scene after it feels like, okay, this is how they've written the scene flow and they just executed it. It's just scenes. It's not a movie put together where you're flowing through the story. There are a lot of portions where suddenly one scene will cut and some other scene will start.
Yeah.
So the transition is not smooth.
Like you said, a transition from scene to scene is important, but while writing a story, you don't really give a lot of thought about that.
Yeah.
Unless it is something that you're concentrating on, a good transition. So while writing a story or while reading a story, you can just go move from one chapter to another with that segue because it is in your imagination. But while making a film, that visual transition from one scene to another, carrying the emotions as well, or even if you're dropping all the emotions and going for a whole different thing, that should also be warranted.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be abrupt, and that lack of finishing was a little evident in the film.
But overall, it is a decent commercial film starring Dunya Vijay and with lot of high-end emotional moments. It deserves a theatrical experience, yes. But considering the material and the merit that the director have shown, did he live up to that? I don't think so.
Yeah, either way, if the trailer was interesting for you, do make sure to go to the theater and watch it. We always support and encourage people who want to go to the theaters and watch a film. Please do that. If you like the trailer, go to the theaters and watch the film.
And if you already watched the film, we also encourage you people to mention your thoughts in the comment section below so that we know if we are on the same page or if we are on the different page. And if you have any thoughts about the points that we have mentioned about Landlord, if you think otherwise or if you think we are alike, mention that also in the comment section below.
With that, I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
And this is Maruthi Acharya.
You are watching India Today.